Hi, welcome to StripJourney. This is episode 13, and I'm coming to you from Copenhagen, Denmark. My name is Randa, and this is a podcast about strip dance and all the other things involving it that we love. And I'm always very excited when I get to invite a new guest from a new country where we haven't been to before. And today I'm going even more north than I am. I'm going to Finland, to Helsinki, and I have with me Randa. Welcome.
Hello, Marana. I'm so happy to be here.
Nice. I'm really, really excited to have you here. I have so many questions for you, but maybe can we start with first you giving a quick introduction about yourself?
Yes, sure. So, hello, everyone. I'm Randa, and I'm a dance acrobatics teacher located in Finland, Helsinki. And I would say I'm a new teacher because it's only been like 1 year when I started teaching professionally online floor work and dance acrobatics. Yes.
How did you even get into dance acrobatics? Shall we start with that?
Yeah, that's an interesting story, actually, because if you told me just 1.5 years ago that I would become a dance acrobatics teacher, I would tell you, like, what the hell are you talking about? Because my primary job is research. I'm a doctoral researcher in media communications.
Nice.
Yes, and for 11 years, I've been a frame upstream dancer. So originally, I'm from Russia. I was a part of Head Rush dance team, if you know about it. Yes.
Lisa Sergeeva, I know about it.
Yes. She's my mentor. And yes, I've danced for many years, but dance acrobatics was one of my weakest parts, probably, until COVID came. And I already moved to Helsinki, and then I decided that I wanted to do some self-practice at home. And I started learning tricks, and I realized that I was just approaching them not in a very correct way before. And I thought I would never be able to do anything like that. And then I just, it went much better. And I decided that I want to teach other people how to do tricks because it made me feel so much better. Then I realized that my body is capable of so many things.
It's quite interesting you say that you started doing it after you moved away from Russia and you were part of Head Rush. And we know that basically Lisa is very famous about acrobatics.
Yes. I was always scared to do any tricks in her performances. So I always said, no, I would never do that in my life. What are you talking about? And yeah, I felt very, very stupid. And, when you, at some point I had a choice, either I have to dance professionally or I need to move to Finland and start my research career. And then I decided, okay, people tell me that dancing is not a normal job and you need to find a normal one. So I became a researcher and I regretted about it later. And then I came back to dance acrobatics because if you want to be competitive professionally in some floor work styles, you have to know tricks.
What made you change your mind to start kind of basically experimenting on yourself at home?
I think I had many health problems for a long period of time, and they were related to dancing. And also, all the professional dancers around me always had health problems with the knees and the lower back and many surgeries. And it was like an epidemic. And at some point, I realized when I was 25 that everything hurts. Everything hurts. And I couldn't believe that the only future I have as a dancer is just to go from one surgery to another. And I rejected to believe that this is the only way to dance, through pain and suffer. And then I started looking to different ways how to connect to my body because I visited a physiotherapist and he told me he never saw any case worse than mine. And he was like, I can't understand how you managed to be like this now. You're not even 30. And then something clicked in my head and I was like, hey, I don't want to live in pain, and I still want to dance. So I have to find a way how to approach frame up, strip dance, and generally floor work without injuries. And since I'm a researcher, I started digging deeper and I got interested in different mindful practices and Pilates and neuroscience and biomechanics and many things. And then I started experimenting with myself. And then everything just got easier. It felt like, I hacked the system and everything just made sense at certain points. when I got some knowledge, like some super basic knowledge about anatomy or biomechanics, and then I just tried to apply it to dance, and I was like, hey, that's how it works. And there was a very important moment for me when I decided that I don't want to continue as a researcher anymore in academia. And I started my blog, and then I started experimenting on my students in Helsinki. And then I saw that it worked so great that people achieve shoulder stand just in a couple of hours of my explanations. And it just worked so well that I continued online. And now I'm very passionate about what I'm doing because it's a really rewarding experience.
I think that's what's great, to kind of figure stuff out and basically practice what you preach, because injuries are huge and it's like so worth to invest in learning this before you just throw yourself into these things, because it's good for you, it's good for your body, it's good for your longevity as a dancer, right?
Yes, we have a tendency, I would say, to learn dance from choreographies. And I would say that for many years, when I danced frame up, I was a choreography dancer. That means that I learned choreographies. I didn't learn how to dance myself. And for now, I would say that it was the biggest mistake that I would like others to avoid. Because if you don't understand the foundations, if you don't understand how your body works, after 10, 20 years, you will not be able to dance. You will be able to imitate a teacher, but you won't know how to dance. And that's what I'm trying to do actually now, to learn to teach people foundations instead of just mimicking me and repeating my moves.
Yeah, that's a very good, and it's kind of what many other people on the podcast have mentioned, that it's like the basics, the technique. Let's start on that, not just, oh, monkey see, monkey do kind of setup. So
Yeah.
absolutely right. So tell me, how was it to start? How was it to just like, okay, so now I'm gonna teach? How did it go?
It was terrifying. It was terrifying because, people who do certain arts, they usually have some kind of imposter syndrome, and they always think they're not good enough. And it's the same thing for me, honestly. And it was one of the decisions I did in my life, just to switch my career, switch my focus like this, start from zero as a dance teacher. Like, what? And I think it's still scary, to be honest, but I just decided that I want to be myself, and I want to transmit my values on social media and teach people how I see things and share with them things that helped me. So basically sharing my personal experience. And this way, I think I started attracting people who are very similar to me as personalities. So they value deeper things, deeper understanding of things, and we like additional educational moments that we discuss at our courses, not just like, hey, look how sexy I look and stuff like that. No, we discuss like a lot of science behind it, and it's very, very interesting.
You mean people like to nerd out on this stuff with you?
Yeah, but people come for different purposes to dance classes, and it's okay, and it's completely normal to have different purposes for your like dance experience. But just certain people attract certain people, and I'm happy that I managed to get certain community around me this way.
I think also what, from looking from the outside as a person who kind of stumbled upon your Instagram and everything, what I've noticed is also that you came like almost like with a done package with your planned social media appearance, with this little tutorials and everything, and it just you hit what people needed, and it just like grew from there. And it was really also nice to see the focus on the technique.
Yeah. And of course, there was a strategy behind it. I'm a journalist, so I know how social media works. But it was also definitely coming from the idea that I imagined myself in other people's shoes. I imagined myself, what if I started now? What would I need? What kind of help I needed, and what kind of help I wanted to get. And based on my own mistakes and bad experiences in certain cases, unfortunately, I decided that, okay, if no one helped me with this, I can help now other people to do it the right way. And I think that's something that kind of sound connection with the community. Yes.
at the start, you also joined the Acro style for the school in, was it Dubai or?
Oh, that's an interesting story. Jana, who is the owner
Yeah.
of Acrostyle, she's my best friend, and she's also one of my first mentors in Frame Up Strip. And I always admired her for this incredible project that she created. Just, to distinguish dance acrobatics as a separate style with separate instructions, not just a part of the dance practice. It was a genius idea and also popularization online. When the COVID started, it was an incredible thing she did. And we worked together previously with Acrostyle. But then at some point, I couldn't sleep at night. And at 6 a.m., this idea came to my mind. What if we gonna organize a dance acrobatics camp in Dubai? And just at night, I was texting her, Jana, let's do this. We hadn't done it before ever. There was no dance acrobatics camps before, and it was just a crazy idea that two passionate people decided to implement. And then we met in Austria actually because the borders were closed and we needed to find a third country to meet and discuss. And it appeared to be a great project. We never expected it's going to be so successful. It was really something mind-blowing because we managed to attract internationally famous dancers to join our camp. And now more people know about dance acrobatics and they can incorporate it in their own teaching styles. And it's just an incredible idea that we definitely continue to do next year as well.
I think when I saw that, I felt like, wow, that's a daring and risky idea. And so it was nice when it worked. And it's nice to see that there's a next one in Thailand, right? Happening.
Yeah. Yes, so if people want to learn some really intermediate and advanced acrobatics, this is especially I would recommend for dance teachers who somehow connected to floor work or frame up strip or strip dance. This is a great opportunity. And next February, we are going to Thailand. And we're going to have 3 instructors that time. So it's a really methodologically well thought program, super intensive, super rich program, where we're going to also have some community building and networking. And I think that people have never had anything like that before, except for those who joined us in Dubai last time. They are also going, they're going for the second time.
Nice. That's a great sign, right?
And if there is an idea behind organizing these camps in the third countries, because we understand that it's easy to go to your neighbor European country, or we have a lot of events happening in Russia or post-Soviet countries as well. But when you actually challenge yourself to go outside of your comfort zone and go somewhere, probably you would never go without this camp. It's a complete transformation of your mind. It's very challenging, but that's how you can actually immerse yourself into some experience like that. And then you come back as a different person.
Sounds really cool. Let me ask you a little bit about Finland. You're teaching in person as well.
Not anymore for now, but yes. So in Finland, the idea is that I moved here 5 years ago, and I didn't think that I would be a dance teacher here. And I joined some other dance classes because we actually have frame up sculptures here.
Yeah.
And for about 2 years, I was just a student trying to do some hobby. And then I was like, okay, what if I organize some workshop? And I liked that. That's how I decided probably that's something I need to start as well. But honestly, even when I started teaching more regularly, it was more about dance acrobatics, not frame up strip. So I wouldn't say that I position myself as someone who tried to popularize frame up strip. I mostly focus in different techniques and acrobatics tricks in floor work that you can incorporate in different lady styles. So, but frame up strip exists in Finland, and we have some teachers here. That's amazing.
So you're done with teaching in person, because I saw you were even teaching a choreo class and.
Yes, but choreos for me are very, I wouldn't say difficult, but they're different. because I can't teach regular classes. I'm this person that needs to save energy before giving it away to people. And the scariest thing that can happen to me is burning out from dance. And I'm so scared of it that I'm trying to be careful. And even only when I have certain inspiration to create a choreography, I try to do it, and I try to organize workshop because I don't want to make it my daily routine, because for me it's something more emotional than just your routine job. And for now it happened the way that when I created certain choreos, they always had specific topics. So it's not just I found nice song and I decided to express something. Since I am like a nerd in terms of the technique, even when I organize a dance workshop or a dance course, I'm thinking, okay, what kind of technique we're gonna learn now? And so, for example, the course on isolations, it was dedicated to isolations, and we had a lot of knowledge about it there. So, yeah.
Nice. So what's happening next online then?
So I have a very difficult life situation at the moment, and I gave up my apartment in Finland. I canceled, yes, terminated my agreement, and at the beginning of December, I'm moving out for I don't know how long. I'm going to Indonesia.
Really?
And for now, I'm gonna fully focus on online teaching.
That makes sense. But you mentioned isolations as a focus. Do you have any next focus coming up in your classes?
For now, I have a dance acrobatics floorwork foundations course coming up on 25th of November. And this one is designed for complete beginners or beginners with little experience who want to start learning floorwork and dance acrobatics tricks. This is the second edition of my course because the first one already happened in September and it was quite successful. So I decided to do it again. And regarding the choreos, I always ask my students, online students, what do you guys want? Do you want to dance? You want more technique again? You want something else? You want more like anatomy or biomechanics? And if they tell me that they want choreography, of course, I will organize it for them. And so it's like never ending feedback I'm getting from them.
So focusing on acrobatics, teaching acrobatics obviously to grown-ups and not to, people who've been doing this from childhood. How do you start? What are your recommendations?
So I believe that there is a big difference for teaching generally dance and especially acrobatics for children and for adults, because adults have already established certain muscle memory and they have very extensive life experience. And that means that their body works in a certain way and they're less adaptable to new movement patterns. And the nervous system plays a huge role here. So if you want to change your pattern that you have been using for decades, you have to work a lot with your brain, not only with your muscles. You need to think that you trust yourself. You need to convince your brain that everything you do is not dangerous. Because the way how we move, we do it not because it's just a habit, but because our body learned that this is exactly the way how to protect us. And first, I recommend students to understand why they have certain posture, why they have these health problems, why they don't like themselves. Or I recommend them to focus on things they actually like in themselves and just to figure out who you are, how you move, and why you move this way. And so once you start asking yourself the question, why, everything starts making more sense. And then you can listen to yourself, to your body much better. And then you can control your body much better. So I would start from stop thinking how you look in the mirror. And I would recommend to start thinking about your feelings, about your sensations when you dance and when you do certain physical activity. Because once you understand yourself, you can understand how to change your habits.
Yeah. Good point. So you said you had many successful students. Can you share some success stories about what happens? To me from outside, it seems like magic. Like I want to try definitely. So
Okay, success stories. I have few ones. And they are actually interesting things that they are related to different aspects because I can say like, okay, everyone learned how to do a shoulder stand because the shoulder stand itself, it doesn't make any sense. So I can do shoulder stand. So what? Success stories would be that after some time, people felt more comfortable with themselves. People who were afraid to start dancing because they felt they were too old, they were not flexible enough, they were not strong enough, just started going to in-person dance classes in their cities. Because the logic is that if you start online, you feel safer in the environment where you're at home alone and you are afraid to go to dance classes, probably because you're ashamed of yourself. But then they started learning online. They realized that everything is good with their bodies and they are just enough to go to dance class. And they found some strength to go there. And now they're so in love with dance that they just go to group classes every week. This is one success story I have. Another one is that I have many pole dancers actually. And the lessons about weight distribution and the balance and gravity help them not just to learn how to do tricks on the floor, but how to apply this knowledge to the pole. And I had one girl that did some trick on the pole that she thought was impossible for her to do before. She never trained it. And I couldn't give her this specific knowledge. I'm not a pole dancer. But then she just applied some tips and she did it. And she was so shocked. She was like, I didn't know I was so strong. Like, I couldn't believe it. And third success story would be about teaching, maybe, because, it's always a trouble for a person to actually understand when they are ready to start teaching, because they have this inner urge, but they always feel that I need to visit more workshops. I need to have more certificates. I'm not good enough. I'm an imposter. I need to be better. I need to be stronger. But then they understand how not to harm people. They understand how to correct people if something goes wrong, and they get more motivation to start something more professional. I mean, teaching rather than just to be dancer if they have this inner calling in them.
Mm.
Yep. And some people can't achieve basic dance acrobatics tricks in months or years, and then just everything clicks in their mind when they go away from the visualization of how they look, and then they start looking inside themselves. They start understand how to activate certain muscles. They start analyzing why these things didn't work for me before, and they just correct themselves. I would say the most rewarding thing for me to see that people can correct themselves, that they don't need me after my course, that my job is done, and after this they can do more difficult things because they know what to do.
It sounds great. I have two questions actually linked to this. One is, I mean, it sounds great, but how hard is it to help people understand these things when you're talking online and you don't touch them and you can't see them from all the angles?
It was really interesting to try because one thing when I started teaching in Helsinki, I could come to people, I could touch them, I could touch the muscles and say, engage this one. And it was really scary to start it online because you can't touch people. But, it's kind of another way how to learn things without having an opportunity to repeat after your teacher. And at certain point, I stopped even showing them what to do. I decided to challenge them so they can hear my voice and they can focus on their own sensations. And when they started focusing on themselves online, it got so much easier. And I just realized they don't need me. They just need some guidance, some instructions that will help them to walk this path with their own sensations. And it worked incredibly well. although, of course, I focus a lot on safety measures, and there are certain tricks that I didn't dare to teach online yet because I am still not sure how to do it. But most of the basic ones that you can find, everyone, really, really everyone can do them with the right approach.
Mm. And kind of your answer now almost more confirms the second question I had. And this is, there's a lot of psychology in also teaching people and doing this. Is you're like the shoulder stand whisperer almost, or something, the way you need to convince people, it seems.
Yes. It's very good point. Because I interviewed a lot of people before they joined my course. I think I interviewed around 40 or 50 people. I was asking them, what is your trouble? Why do you think you're not enough? Why you didn't start doing this before? And the most frequent reply I get is something about their physical limitations. They say, my arms are too short. My lower back is too stiff. I am not flexible. I am not strong. And then I start observing them, how they do things. And I realized that physically they are 100% prepared, but mentally they have so many limitations that just block them from starting something new because of this mental pressure that they have from all the environment around them. And I would never expect that when you become a dance teacher, you also become a psychologist at certain points, because you pointed out very clearly you need to convince people that they can do it. Because the secret of a good dance teacher is they see already when you enter the room, when you start your warm-up, your teacher sees what you can do. It's so
you see the
obvious.
potential, right?
Yes, they see the potential. I can tell you some things about your personality when I see how you move. Because body and mind, they are connected so deep, and they reflect each other. The way how you move, it reflects what kind of personality you are. And what kind of personality you are reflects how you move. And if you understand this interconnection, as a teacher, you can see better the potential of the person. But if you understand it about yourself, you can also improve something that you want more efficiently, because you understand where it comes from and what to do with it. And actually, I was so worried that of course, I'm not a professional psychologist, and some things are sensitive to talk about with people you don't know. So at my course, I invited a professional psychologist to work with us. And it was so helpful. It was an experiment. Like, honestly, sometimes I think that everything I do is just experimenting with people. But this psychologist think it worked so well because people stop dancing because they lose motivation, not because they're not strong enough, because they don't have proper goal setting, because they don't understand why they do this, because they come there to impress someone, not to impress yourself. Some people come there for self-punishment because they think, if I don't feel enough pain, that means my workout was bad. This is like something I see very often, and we have to work with our mindset if we want to achieve healthy results, and if we want to feel ourselves good in our own skin. This is a huge work with mindset as well.
Yeah. No, but it's very interesting when you mentioned that you're experimenting and stuff. You also mentioned your scientific background. So it's always interesting to see this kind of how you try something works, and you keep it for later, and then you try something else and you add on. And that way you build experience. You experience different people, different approaches. So I think that's,
and
that's a great foundation.
They always help me. They always help me to how to correct things, how to make them better. Because the most important thing is to listen what people want, is to listen what they need. And that's the main success of a good product and a good methodology. Not to do what you want, but to do what people want from you.
Yeah, true. Also, with your methodology, so you've done some traveling. You've been invited to come and do workshops. And so how did that go?
Yes, actually, after our Dubai camp, it was my first travel experience, but I was more like an organizer there. Then I was invited to France and Germany. Then we organized together acro style workshops also in Germany and France. Then I went to Sweden. Actually, this week I'm going to Estonia for short workshops. And I am very happy that people organize workshops for beginners as well. Because I would say when you attend dance workshops that are like internationally popular, they are mostly oriented on people who have already like profound experience. And because when you come, you get so overwhelmed and you're afraid that you can't do anything and you only have 2 hours or like 1.5 hours. Like, oh, it's not for me. It's so pressuring. But every time when someone invites me with classes, I point out that, hey, I want to focus on beginners and I'm going to explain really beginner friendly stuff so people don't have to stress about their levels and they can feel safe there.
And organizers supported that?
Yes, actually, they say that they have so many beginners that want to learn, but they don't have many opportunities to invite someone who would give the material for beginners. So I think it's a must as well. Because when you're a beginner, very often you feel left out from this kind of events because it's really too difficult and too fast for you to process in this short period of time.
Yeah, exactly. Any other learnings you had from traveling workshops like that you'd like to share? I mean, you also said yourself that you feel like the energy you have to give is limited, and obviously traveling and stuff like that is not that easy on the body and things. So how does it work with this when you have to come to a new place, completely new people, and they're expecting you to, give them everything? And how did that go?
It actually works well for me because I am the person of change, and changing environment and places is something I feel natural with. So I'm not afraid of people. I'm not afraid of teaching. I just have a very limited amount of energy. So usually it happens to me that I go to the classes, I give everything, and then I need 1 week to recover. But rather than that, we never had any troubles with people and they were always so nice. Like it's interesting to observe them because when they see you for the first time, they have no idea who you are and they're like a little bit suspicious, like, oh, who is this person? What she's gonna teach us? And they're like, I don't know. And then after half an hour, they like, oh, it's so nice. I can do this. I can do that. So the energy that you transmit is also very important because unfortunately, I would say that our friend of community is not always super positive towards each other. And it's important that you just a nice person and you support others and you have good vibes. So it for beginners especially, because many of them are afraid to come because they don't want to be judged.
Yeah, it's not the easiest hobby to pick up, and the people don't
Exactly.
like to come and fail on their first class and be like,
Exactly. No one
what is
wants to
this?
fail.
That's a very good point. The reason why I do the podcast is also to kind of spread the community, and this is who we want to get into. We want to get beginners. We want to get people who've never tried before. We don't want them to be discouraged. We don't want them to come and be like, oh my God, this amazing dancer, and she's gonna try to teach me to do that. My body is never gonna move like that.
Yes, of course. And, for me, all this social media thing happened quite fast. So I got, like, in 6 months, I got around 50,000 followers. And I realized that people now perceive me differently. I'm some kind of role model for them. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm just like you. Like, I am the same person. So I never want people to treat me like I am above them, When you give them this vibe that you are just all the same, you all came here to learn. And my goal is not to show off and show you, like to demonstrate what I can do, but my goal is to teach you. They feel much better. It's so much less pressure because, as you said before, people don't want to fail. They don't want to feel that they are not enough and they're doing like something weird and everyone is looking at them. So supportive atmosphere, it's super important.
You said you grew really fast. Did you ever have this skepticism? Oh, you're Insta famous, but are you like really good? And, oh, it's short videos, but you're not this like famous dancer and stuff. And what can you teach me?
I maybe some people think about me like this. I am 100% sure, but I clearly distinguish a good dancer from a good teacher. I know that I used to be a good dancer, a good team dancer. I participated in many championships. We won our prizes, and this is my past. I don't need it anymore. I don't need to prove anyone that I can go to the stage and do something. And it's not my goal to become internationally famous dancer, because I know that I'm not the best dancer. There are some things that are not available for me in terms of my physical abilities, and I am completely okay with that. Instead, I know that I am a good teacher, and I can teach a homeless dog how to do a shoulder stand. And this is the most important thing for me, because the rewarding experience that I get from my job at the moment, it's the results of the people. And even when I dance, when I have some choreography workshops, there is this it's a tradition that your teacher dances for you and everyone is clapping and like, oh, I never do that. I don't even have videos from my workshops because I don't like to be in the center of attention. I always tell them, guys, I came here to give you some information. You are the stars here. I am not. I am your teacher. I want you to feel that you are the stars at this workshop. So that's why I don't have like many videos from my classes, because I just don't do them for myself.
No, but I agree. That's a great point, especially if you want to teach grown-ups, because if I come into class and I don't feel welcome and I feel, you tell me like, oh, and then you do this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, and you're not going to explain. You just expect me to contort myself in there. Well, then I'm just going to say, I'm just not going to come back. And
yes,
that was cute, right? So,
but the reality.
So it's important, as you said, there is amazing teachers who just are not teachers, and that's fine. They can be just dancers, and that's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, when you reach certain level, you can visit classes of any good super professional dancers, and you will be able to get the material, to understand the material, because you already know what to do with your body. But when you start, probably it's more important for you to find a mentor who will actually give you results that you want, and who will make you feel that you are a valuable member of the community at the dance class, and that they respect you and they value your effort and they understand your level. They understand that you're a beginner, so they expect from you beginner-friendly things.
Yeah, no, very good point. Do you have any advice for the community? What should we be doing? What should we be trying to do?
What you should be trying to do? I would say, first, don't neglect online classes. If you are afraid of going to your first dance class because of different reasons, you are not alone. And there are many, many people who have the same struggles. Try online. Try to work with yourself at home in the safe environment. And in case of any psychological block that prevents you from starting dancing, again, think that you are not alone. Everyone has these fears. I am super scared before I show some jump to my students. I also have this adrenaline rush. I also have my heart beating like this. This is normal reaction of our body to learning something new. It's always scary, it's terrifying, and it doesn't mean that you are not brave enough or something is wrong with you. So embrace your fears, because they protect you. Fears are made to protect you, and it's completely normal to live with them. So try to organize a safe environment for you if you're afraid to start, and start from something, because starting with one step is better than not starting at all.
and this is purely my curiosity. You said your dance past is behind you, but are there any stories or anecdotes you want to share from that time?
Stories or anecdotes? I don't know. Usually when people ask me about it, I tell some scary stories, really. Yeah.
This is why you shouldn't dance in a team.
Yeah, but the team experience was actually incredible. But it's like when I look at this from my age now, from all these years, it's terrifying, and I'm not sure I would do this again because we had so crazy trainings. I was a student back then, and we had our team trainings at night from 11 p.m. until 5 a.m. preparing for championships. And I remember that I was like maybe 22 years old, and at night I have fever like 39, but I still was practicing my part of the choreography, and then I needed to go to pharmacy to get something to to relax a little bit because my heart was like jumping like this and I couldn't do anything. We were really crazy. Like when you're young, you can afford being crazy because you think that you're unstoppable and you're like immortal. But yeah, we danced with broken body parts, with stretched ankles. We like didn't care, and it was completely normal. And this is crazy. It was a good experience, but now I transmit the idea that it's not okay to do it this way. That you actually you can achieve the same things when you start taking care of your body because you have one body in this life and you can't get another one.
Is there something else you would like to tell us? Is there some topic I haven't asked you that you would like to talk about?
Yes, there is actually one thing. Someone just texted me sometime a private message and told me, Randa, thank you so much for your content and for your tutorials because I learned so many new things and I can do so many tricks based on your tutorials. I was like, but I don't have any tutorials on my Instagram. And my advice would be, people, if you see certain tricks on Instagram, like in Reels, don't repeat them if you don't understand what you're doing. Because of course it's very brave and crazy and all this stuff, but you really can get injured. And the tutorial means basically step-by-step guide how to, instead of just showing you the thing so you can repeat it. So be careful about it. But it's really funny. I don't post tutorials on Instagram. I'm just showing you what you can do as a beginner. So yes.
Yeah, if it looks easy, it doesn't mean it's easy.
Or vice versa. It might look difficult, but in fact, it's easy if you try to do it. So it
There we go.
depends.
Do you have an example? What does look difficult but is actually easy to do?
Shoulder stand. Shoulder stand. I have so many comments under my reels. This is not beginner level. Beginner would never do that. This is impossible. Don't confuse people. Like what you're saying is wrong. Okay. Shoulder stand is a really beginner move, and many people can do it with the right technique, with the right approach, and with good understanding the main principles of being on the floor, gravity, and weight distribution. So don't be afraid of something that looks difficult. Sometimes it's easier than you think, but sometimes it's vice versa. For example, backspin or kick up. Those things are the most challenging things for beginners, although they look super easy. Like you look at the backspin and you think that you can just roll around and there is nothing difficult. But in my experience, not many people could do it from the first or even second attempt. It took me several months to learn the backspin. So don't get frustrated if you don't get anything from the first try. It's about practice, motivation, and regular training rather than doing it from the first try.
Yeah. So what I hear is technique, regular training, and then trying to figure out why something is not working, because it might not be that you're not strong enough or good enough.
Yes.
But something about your body or your mind.
I would say the question why is in the center of everything. We don't ask ourselves or our teachers this question often, and this is a big mistake. If you ask them, why do I need to put the hand here or there? Why do I draw a circle with my leg? If you have an answer to your question, your brain will understand better why you need to do it this way. Because when you try a different way, you will understand that it's not convenient. You will get the principles behind it, and your memory just works much better when there is a purpose of doing certain things.
Do you have any messages you would like to share?
Yes, just focus on yourself. Focus on yourself. Don't focus on the mirror. I don't practice with the mirror, and I teach my students not to work with the mirror. Very often they get confused when they look at the reflection and then they forget about the feeling, and it's completely different thing.
So if no mirror, then the focus is on the feeling?
Yes, exactly. We have this neurological practice. So I experimented with my students, of course. At the previous introductory course, I gave them a shoulder roll, a basic shoulder roll in 2 techniques, explanatory techniques. The first one was basic technical explanation of the shoulder roll, how to do, how we always learn at our dance classes. And the second one, it was just my voice. I didn't do much. And I was guiding them to do it step by step, how they feel, to experiment with different location, like where to put their body parts and how it feels. And it was such a discovery for them to understand that if they give a task to their brain and if they start exploring themselves how to do it, eventually they come to the same technical explanation by themselves. Not because I told them that they need to do it this way, but because they understand how it feels comfortable for them, because they understand that doing differently brings them some pain or overload in the muscles. And then they just do a shoulder roll without basically knowing any technique, because they start feeling how to do it. Sometimes it really works like magic, but it's just our biology, our nervous system. It's very, very interesting.
That was some really interesting things also to demystify a bit the hard acro idea and acro is not for beginners idea. So thank you so much. I've learned a lot and I hope everybody else did a lot, and all the best of luck with your next steps. And I think I will see you online because I have some things I would like to try. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And I really hope that beginners will find some motivational words in this podcast that will make them to continue what they do or to start doing some dance classes or something. Because if you have a calling for that, that means it's really important for you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.